and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man seated next to me loves the taste of iguana. His name is Mike Roth.
It is the only green food I eat.
Oh.
Yes, anything green is usually toxic.
Yeah.
Same with tomatoes. Tomatoes is the only exception to the rule. If it's green or if it's a tomato, it's pretty much toxic.
I heard there was a song back in the 80s about eating barbecued iguana. Down in Tijuana.
Yeah. Just don't put anything green on. That's the only green thing on the plate.
I like it. I like that's a good tip. Good tip to the kids out there. That's what we're here for. So again, we are in new settings this week.
Yeah, I'm still wearing the same jacket though.
I love it. We are here at the beautiful Palace Cinema here, Marcus Theater's crown jewel. We love any chance we get to come here and sit in the dream loungers that we're always talking about.
And they set up this place real nice. There's some little ads behind us. They gave us some great teas. These are the new iced tea, the special of the month. We had some food that's brand new. We get treated like kings when we come here. I feel good.
And you get treated good when you come here too. We'll plug for the show. Let's get started. What we have this week, though, and I'm going to get us started off with our streaming spotlight. We go back to Netflix again, and this is for the movie called The King. This film stars Timothée Chalamet as Henry V, as a young man. This kind of takes on the Shakespearean tale of Henry V as he reluctantly takes the throne and kind of adds a modernization to it. And Henry is a kind of a peace-loving prince who ascends to the throne through his brother, who was supposed to be given the throne. And the king is played by Ben Mendelsohn, who I always enjoy. He's just kind of creepy, but as a king, Henry shows restraint. He takes advice. He's got kind of the man, his sage, his Obi-Wan, if you would, who gives him advice. Falstaff, played by Joel Edgerton. This movie was also written by Joel Edgerton.
Oh, he's so fantastic.
Yeah, we guys like them.
Yeah.
He kind of takes this more measured approach to an oncoming war with France, when all of his other advisors are saying, there's any little slight, you have to attack. You got to go to war, and he's like, well, I'm not in a big rush to like lose a bunch of my men, like just kill my countrymen in this. And he's just always looking for alternatives. At one point, he even challenges one of the other men to like, let's just you and me fight, and we'll leave all our soldiers out of it, and we'll decide it that way. Just a one-on-one battle.
Everybody should do that,
right? And he challenges the Dauphin of France, played by Robert Pattinson.
Wait.
Dauphin, that's what they call him. It's a title.
On purpose?
It's a title.
Oh, okay.
Robert Pattinson with this really over-the-top French accent, which was kind of almost hilarious. It was, but they're the two guys who are basically going at it, and war seems to be the only option. And despite his kind of peace-loving ways, Timothée Chalamet plays Henry V as kind of he's a fierce leader and a warrior when he needs to be. Finally, when no other options come. He's pretty tough, and the highlight of this film is there's an extended battle scene near the end of the movie where you have just a ton of a battlefield full of just indistinguishable knights in full armor, just clanging away on each other, just pounding away on each other with swords and fists, punching each other. You're in full armor, and I haven't seen a lot of those. You know, you see like your Revolutionary War, Civil War films where it's all on the battlefield in close quarters, but never just everyone in full suits of armor running towards each other, and you can't tell who's who.
When they do, they usually focus on the one epic battle where it's a long swinging swords and a lot of gleaming stuff.
Yeah,
but they pan back.
This was cool because it's in the mud, and I don't know, I'm watching going, I don't know how I'd know who was on my side and who wasn't. It's just a bunch of muddy knights, and just stab whoever comes near me. And the movie's just shot really beautifully. It's like there's a lot of really cool shots of that. They're really cool. And, the cast is amazing. You also have Lily Rose Depp in here, Johnny Depp's daughter. Nice. She's really good. Thomasin McKenzie, who I really enjoy. She was the girl in the movie last year, Leave No Trace. That was my favorite movie of the year with Ben Foster. She was really good in this movie, but Timothée Chalamet really shone in this film. I really liked him in this. And so The King, I am going to give 4 out of 5 stars.
I got one question.
Yeah.
You said they modernized it. Did they do it like Knight's Tale modernize it, where there's Queen soundtrack or anything?
No, not so much.
All right.
No, they just took that Shakespearean play and then just kind of modernized some of that and some of the language, and they added Falstaff, who isn't an actual character in the real real life.
Okay.
But yeah, it's good. It's worth checking out. The cast is great.
All right.
Let's move ahead to what we have on the marquee. This week we got a bunch of movies on the marquee. And the first one I have is a film that we've been looking forward to. It's the new film written and directed by Taika Watiti. It's a film called Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit stars a kid, Roman Griffin Davis. He is Jojo. This film is set in World War II Germany. And young Jojo is obsessed with becoming one of Hitler's guard, and also maybe Hitler's best friend if he can pull it off. And
he was fashionable at the time in Germany.
Yeah, he's obsessed with it, and to the point of he visualizes Hitler as his imaginary friend. And Hitler is played by Taika Waititi, hilariously. Like, it's so good. And so young Jojo joins Hitler's Youth, which is more like a Cub Scout group. He joins it, and it's being led by this downtrodden former SS officer who is now tasked with basically taking a bunch of kids and trying to, and this is like towards the end of World War II.
Where it was
like
bleak.
we're already on the outs, but I guess we're just still doing this. And it's the former SS officer is played by Sam Rockwell, and he's just amazing in this.
Okay.
As he always is. And as this war kind of rages on around them, Jojo's mother, played by Scarlett Johansson, is kind of doing her best to find normality for him, despite all the craziness going on. And at midpoint of the movie, Jojo finds out that his mother has been hiding a secret that could be deadly for everyone involved. And he has to decide how he's going to play it. He meets a young girl named Elsa, who is, oddly enough, again played by Thomasin McKenzie, who was in The King earlier.
Oh, wow.
She plays the young girl Elsa, and Thomasin has been hid away. And he must decide what he wants to do about this, because it goes against everything he's been taught, all the propaganda that's been taught to him.
I could kind of piece together things that you're leaving out.
Yeah.
Yeah, just knowing the time.
Yeah, I'm trying not to go crazy into it. This film also has Rebel Wilson as one of the SS's. She's the Fraulein who is trying to lead these kids, and she's kind of crazy out there, as she is in all her movies. But this one, she's like, just firing flamethrowers at people, and kind of interesting. And the thing is with this movie is there's a lot of hilarity and there's a lot of heartbreak in this movie. And kind of similar to his film Hunt for the Wilder People a few years ago, which it's hilarious, but it's also a really sad story underneath the surface. And when the laughs end in this movie, you're kind of faced with some tough moments of, this is still World War II, and people are dying, and people are doing horrible things to each other because of what they're told about those other people, making assumptions off of what you're told. And so this movie, I mean, the gimmick of having Hitler as his imaginary friend is hilarious, and he's trying to give him confidence boost, but he's just kind of, it's silly. Even without that Hitler gimmick though, it's a really good movie. It has heart, and it really makes you look at, this boy who kind of is following this
you got it. I know you got it.
ideology that he really knows nothing about. It's just what he's been told about this race of people, and he starts to see the humanity in people, and maybe discovers that it's people aren't necessarily what he's been told they are. And so it's a nice, heartwarming movie. It's really well written. It's a movie that everyone needs to check out.
It sounds like you're going to give it a great score.
I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good, and so it's playing over at the other Marcus Theater right now. I'd recommend checking it out.
I would assume it would probably get to this one eventually.
Absolutely. And so go check out Jojo Rabbit. It's well worth your time. Mike, you've been...
I'm oddly silent. Yes, I know. I am so sorry. I've been busy with other life.
Sometimes life gets
weird.
in the way.
I know life.
But you do have a movie for us.
I did check out Harriet, which is the other big screen movie besides the one you're going to be talking about a little bit later. This is the story of Harriet Tubman and how she's pretty much started her life. Of course, she was started as a slave. She escaped to freedom, but that wasn't good enough for her. She wanted to do the exact same thing for all her family. So she goes back down, grabs more family members, does it again, and she keeps doing this back and forth until she becomes, well, notorious in the South and they give her a name. They think that she's a man, Moses, and they are just furious. Her former master is kind of a big part of getting all these people. And they're trying to look for Moses while Harriet Tubman goes back and forth. Now, one thing I did skip, which is very important, is in this one, and this is going to sound really cheesy, it is a cheesy film, but I'm going to tell you why I liked it a little bit later. She has superpower. Her superpower is she has premonitions of the future. She
claims she claimed this actually happened, that she would have visions.
And I believe that to a certain point, but in this movie, it made it seem like it was a superpower.
Oh, and they came at the most opportune time for her.
Any time where there was a problem, she would
She'd have a seizure.
She'd have a seizure, have a vision, and it saved their life every time.
Every time there was a bad guy lurking around a corner, she got Spidey sense.
She got Spidey sense and saw what was going to happen. Harriet's played by Cynthia Enviro, and her nemesis, her former master, is Gideon Brodus. He's played by Joe Alwyn. They did a good job, and there's even a epic battle at the end where her powers get used. And when I left the theater, I enjoyed myself, but I was a little lukewarm, and then it dawned on me. This was a superhero movie. And all of a sudden, I started enjoying this. I'm like, she has superpowers, she had a nemesis, there was an epic battle. It moved at a nice pace. This was a superhero movie all the way, and all of a sudden it just blossomed, and I enjoyed it so much because we've given great reviews to superhero movies, and out of anybody in American history,
she's one of our great heroes.
One of our great heroes. She deserves a superhero movie.
Oh my God.
And all the cheesiness just kind of faded away once I realized that there could be an Avenger movie someday with Harriet Tubman, but of course not with people with huge powers, but maybe have get Gandhi over, Mother Teresa, a couple other greats, and they could form something and start I mean, the timelines are going to be askew, but they can figure it out.
Time travel, we don't have to explain it.
Yeah, we've gone to the multiverse, we know.
Oh my goodness.
So what did you think?
This makes me so happy.
I really enjoyed it after I had my epiphany.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, it's a great story about her, and I think that she was really good in it. One of the things that surprised me though is a slave movie in the first half hour.
Yeah.
It really wasn't like brutal in any way.
No.
We've seen like 12 Years a Slave and different things where you're running away. Bad things are going to happen to you.
Yeah.
This one, it wasn't so much. It was very muted as far as that violence towards the slaves. And then I enjoyed a lot of it, of her going back and forth, her meeting up with William Still when she made it to the north, and like him being there to kind of process these slaves. The thing that kind of irritated me was that every time she went back, and it kind of repeated itself over, and it became very formulaic, where she would go back, she'd grab another group of people, and then they'd take the adventure north, and then they'd almost be caught, but they get away, and then repeat.
Yes.
Go back down, same, they almost got it, we got away again. And it was like played out like 3 different times that way, and it's like, well, no one's going to catch her, I know this.
Yeah, well, I know that, well, he had a spoiler because of history.
Right, history.
Darn you, schools.
Thanks for teaching me spoilers. But I think that she was really good in this, and I'd like to see more of these type of historical dramas. Like, I like your idea of teaming these guys up.
I think it's fantastic. I enjoyed that this was fun, even though it was cheesy. Also, you got a little bit of a history lesson or a reimagining, I guess, of real events. Yeah, I kind of forgot how America went full nuts for a while.
Well, and it also was interesting to me is they show that even if you're free, you're not free. There's freedmen, even in the North. You're not necessarily free, even though you're free. And that's always kind of tough to think about.
And they had that segment where if you were in the North and you were free because you were in the North, they could still catch you, and that was backed by the government. They were like, yes, go get people, which caused a free-for-all where anybody of color was pretty much captured and forced to show papers, which, again, even if you were free on paper, you weren't free because you had to always be on your guard.
Yeah. Absolutely. What did you give Harriet?
I give it a 4. This was a little high from my first 2 seconds after I walked out of the theater, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool.
I like your universe building. I like it a lot. Yeah, I gave it 3 out of 5. It's a good movie. It's worth watching. It's worth checking out. And now watch it with a new set of eyes and see this happening.
Try it again. It works just like all the Marvel movies we've been seeing, not the DC movies.
No, those nobody wants that.
Yeah.
The next movie I have on the marquee, sir, is a film called Parasite. This is a South Korean film from director Joon-ho Bong. We know him. He was also the writer and director of films like Snowpiercer a few years ago.
Great film.
And Okja, which was a couple of years ago. All movies that kind of deal with class. A lot of like the haves and the have-nots, I guess, for lack of better words. But this is a film about a down-on-their-luck, jobless, penniless family of 4 who begins a grift to kind of get in with a wealthy young family. And this young family is very wealthy and really naive about the ways of the world. And so this family of grifters who is just living in filth, they use this to their advantage. The son gets into the family as a tutor for their daughter, and then he proceeds to get the rest of his family ingratiated into this family in different jobs, and pretty soon they've got the run of this beautiful mansion and basically sucking the money out of this family by doing so. And
hence the name.
Yeah, the plan is set in motion, and as each kind of as each successive family member kind of integrates their way into the household, it feels like the plan is perfect. Nothing could go wrong. This is great. Of course, no plan is ever perfect, and there's a very odd secret that's revealed in the middle of this movie about the house and what's going on in the house that really changes everything. And so this movie is like part silly comedy, especially when you're just dealing with the family and early on. They have a lot of gallows humor to them because they're just in a bad way. And it's kind of silly, especially the dad is pretty silly. But it's also very much a judgment on class and society and how we treat people. And you're set up to kind of, in the beginning, root for this poor family. You want them to get out of poverty. And so it's like, yeah, these people have so much, they won't miss it if this family kind of grifts them out of some things. And then at one point you kind of realize that they're not good people to this family. They're you know, doing bad things. These poor unsuspecting people who are just going about their life, you know, just because they're naive. And I found myself at one point in the movie hoping they'd get their comeuppance in this film. Like, wait a minute, my rooting is changing in this film. The film is shot incredibly beautiful, and there's like big open shots of this house and the yard and all these things that are happening. There's also very tight, rough-looking shots of them when they're in their own little place and in different places that make you feel very claustrophobic. And it's written in a way, it's all in subtitles because it's South Korean, but it's written in a way that I don't think the subtitles would get in the way if they weren't there. I feel like you could get the entire story of it even if the subtitles weren't on.
I did watch the trailers of this, and it looks absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
And I usually don't mind reading anyways, unless I'm at a bar. It's just silly. But it looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch
it. Really
this.
is. It's directed so well. There's a few moments in this movie that like made me audibly gasp out loud. Yeah. Because I did not see them coming. It changed things, and there's a lot of this movie to make you really think. And I think that this filmmaker, Joon-ho Bong, he excels in kind of putting this subject of class under the microscope and making you determine, you know, sometimes good people get screwed by unscrupulous people. Sometimes the good people aren't who you think they are. You know, Snowpiercer was a great film because that was like society on a train. Yeah. You literally moved up the class system, fighting your way up to the top. This is a little different from that, but not a lot. And it's a gorgeous film. It reminded me of a film I saw a couple years ago called Nocturama. That was another film about this group of people who were down on their luck. They decided to try and like go into a shopping mall at night and just rob from that, because who cares? We're not hurting anybody. Yeah. And then the plan went haywire and things went bad, and it had a lot of this in it too. But Parasite's, it was a great film. And I know I said last week, I think, that Lighthouse might be my favorite movie of the year.
Oh, no, really?
Lighthouse has been pushed. Parasite is the best movie I've seen this year. It's a film that I can't stop thinking about.
Wow.
Yes, it's so good. Mike, let's go see it.
I'll go see it.
When we're done with the show, let's go see it.
I need at least a week of
All right, we'll go see it in a week.
to do, but I'm definitely going to see this movie. I'm definitely going to see Jojo's Rabbit too. You really saw a lot of great movies.
Sometimes you gotta bob and weave.
Those sound awesome.
Well, there's still one more to talk about, so don't get too excited,
We
sir.
don't want to stop while we're ahead.
The last movie we have on the marquee this week is Terminator: Dark Fate, written by James Cameron. He's back in this universe.
Should he?
Directed by Tim Miller, who did Deadpool. And this movie takes place, picks up years after the events of Terminator 2. We cut out all the other Terminator movies that have been subsequent to that. Salvation, Genesis.
Did we do this already?
All those. We do it every time one comes out, I think. But this is what we're doing. This one stars Mackenzie Davis as Grace. Grace is a human who has been sent back. She's a genetically modified human from the future. Not necessarily Terminator. She's still a human, but she's been genetically modified, sent back from the future to protect a young woman from a new Terminator. The young woman is Natalie Reyes. She plays Danny. And we also get Sarah Connor back. Linda Hamilton is back. She has spent her lifetime tracking down and killing Terminators ever since since T2, basically.
So that's the only thing that's been accurate about all the other sequels after
She's just been tracking down Terminators, killing them. This film, she teams up with Grace and Danny, and they try to kill this new Terminator that's showing up. But for some reason, despite having spent her entire lifetime killing Terminators, she really has no weaponry to do it in this film. Like, she just has machine guns. And we know from Terminator 2, machine guns don't kill Terminators.
No.
Come on. And this Terminator, played by Gabriel Luna, it's called Rev 9, is a mix of the two Terminators that we know. It is the liquid metal Terminator that also has the endoskeleton of the Terminator, the metal Terminator, and they can separate and work separate from each other. And then, so he can melt away from the skeleton. That Terminator can still do things, and then he can reform himself, and now you got two Terminators.
Why couldn't they just bring two Terminators?
I don't know, they send one.
They send one.
It's like a Highlander. There can be only one. I don't know. But they also enlist the help of a mysterious stranger who has been sending them clues and coordinates over the last few years with a message that it's for John, because John Connor is no longer. We see Edward Furlong in this movie for like 2 minutes.
You're kidding me.
Young Edward Furlong.
Oh.
Yeah. He gets murdered in the first scene of the movie. So
really?
Linda Hamilton not happy. Not very happy about this. Sarah Connor, not cool about it. But the Terminator that killed John was a T-800 that looked just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so they go and they track down this Terminator that's been sending them coordinates, and it's Schwarzenegger. It's a T-800, and Sarah Connor not thrilled about seeing this guy.
Did it age?
Yes, because he is living tissue over a cybernetic skeleton, so he is an older version.
And since we're rebooting, all the other information that they gave us throughout the years is inaccurate.
Yeah, more or less. Okay. So we really have a mix of old and new here. You know, we have this old Terminator, we have this new mix of Terminators, and we have this human kind of Terminator sent from the future, and they're all trying to save Danny because, you know why? Because she's the new John Connor. She's the one who has to be protected. Maybe she'll lead the next resistance, or her son will lead the next resistance, but you know the story. Yeah. And it's a very familiar storyline. In fact, at one point, Sarah Connor even mentions, she's like, it dawns on her, the plot of this movie, and she's like, oh, wait a minute. You're John. Like, yeah, we all get it. She's like, wait, this is what happened to me. I was this girl. It literally says, like, I was this girl at one point. Like, yeah, I know. I've seen that movie. I'm seeing this movie. It's kind of rather uninspired, the storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, it's really familiar. And Sarah Connor's living in this world where the future that she tried to prevent, you know, all these Terminators sent back to kill John, well, she didn't do a great job. So now she's living in a world that is different than the one she was trying to stop from happening. It's weird. The good part is Arnold is actually really funny in this movie.
Oh, cool.
You know, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And he, as this Terminator who's just been hanging out, he completed his mission a while ago. Now he's just been hanging out, living with a family that he's kind of adopted in, and living in the woods, and he's just hanging out, and at one point he's describing to them, they're like, well, what do you do? Like, do you have a physical relationship with this lady? And he's like, no, it's not physical. He's like, you know, I'm a good listener. I'm also a very funny guy. It's weird. He's actually, this Terminator is a man named Carl. Okay. Carl the Terminator, and he owns a drapery business. He's way into draperies.
So they really turned where Terminators are going.
Yeah, he's into draperies, man. Yeah. I think we're good on these Terminator films. I don't think we need to keep making them.
We're not going to be good because we were good after 2, and then we were good, really good after 3, and then. What, 3 others after that?
There's a bunch. And I feel like this and the Aliens and the Predators, like we could just not have those continuing to try and reboot themselves because they fail.
If you can't get good writers to do a good movie, because that's what these movies need now is good
And I thought James Cameron, because this is his universe.
Yeah.
And it just felt more of the same from him, which some fans really like. I have some friends of mine who are huge fans of these movies, and they love this one because it's very familiar. But it's nothing new.
I feel like if he had good ideas about his Terminator franchise, he would have done it a long time ago.
Well, in the movie, like all Terminator movies, it ends with a big factory fight. We're in a huge factory that comes out of nowhere with big machines, and suddenly it's all on fire. Yeah. You know, I was like, yeah, this is what we do in Terminator movies, I guess.
You'll have to tell me if there's sequel.
I'll let you know.
Mine later.
But for my money, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
You did enjoy yourself.
It's fun enough. There's a good action movie. I mean, Schwarzenegger's fun in this role.
Okay.
Linda Hamilton's fun. I like Mackenzie Davis's Grace, but it's just nothing inspired. So 3 out of 5 for me. Now let's take a look ahead, sir. We got some movies that are going to be coming out the weekend of November 15th. I'll be happy for this one. This trailer plays in front of every movie we see. Ford versus Ferrari will be coming out. Matt Damon, Christian Bale, the story of Ford taking on Ferrari.
That looks interesting. It really does.
It does. We also have The Good Liar. This is the film with Helen Mirren and, oh boy.
Oops, I almost said
Ian
it wrong.
McKellen.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen is a couple of con artists. Kind of looks interesting to me. We also have, speaking of remakes, Charlie's Angels is back.
This is not good. But, oh well, whatever.
I like snap judgment. It's got Kristen Stewart in this Charlie's Angels.
It's
a soundtrack of people.
The last reboot wasn't good.
Oh, those are all by McGee. He's a terrible director.
Yeah.
This doesn't look good either. And then the last one is a new A24 movie called Waves, which looks interesting, and I don't feel like I understand anything that's going on in the trailer. Which is probably for the best.
Do we have time to talk about the food that we had?
Tell me about what food you had.
They have brand new chicken and waffles. The waffles don't taste like normal waffles. Ooh. They taste better than normal waffles. Yeah. They have these little crystal syrups or something in it. They're fantastic. And then we also had their breakfast sandwich.
Breakfast sandwich, delicious.
Which was better than I really thought. It looks very basic, but when I ate into it, that bread was just sweet and delicious. It was.
Speaking of sweet and delicious, this here iced tea is sweet and delicious.
Yeah, and I'm very thirsty, and because I didn't do my reviews, I thought I was going to finish this off real quick.
Nice. Next week, sir. Well, before we go, we got to thank.
Yeah.
We got to thank Tom for making this happen. Palace Cinema, thank you for sponsoring the show and always being open to letting us come in and have some fun and, do our little Stiskel and Ebert shtick here in the balcony. Enjoy it.
I really like how they set us up and they accommodate us, and I love the sponsorship, and the people here are just fantastic.
Good people. Next week, sir, we're going to have some films like Playing with Fire. That's the John Cena fireman movie. Last Christmas. It's a Christmas movie. We got Dr. Sleep, the Shining 2 movie, and we have Midway. Now, Mike will not be joining me next week. We are going to replace him with a doll. It's going to be great. It's going to be really exciting.
Easily replaceable?
Yeah, whatever.
You're just going to put a dummy up
doll next to you. Going to miss you next week. Hopefully you return.
I will return. I just need a little break to get some things done in my life outside of movies world.
Yeah, that's all right. It's a good week to do so.
It is a good week.
All right.
Don't let it snow on you.
Good tip from Mike. We want to thank Mara for making all this happen. Mara Trusty is our favorite person in the world. If you're going to make a superhero movie, make Mara the star of it next time, right?
What would be her power?
She's got all kinds of crazy powers.
She's got a great smile.
Putting up with us.
She just makes everybody smile back.
Tolerating idiots.
They'd be really angry, and she just smiles, and they're like, life's not that bad.
Life is not that bad. All right, next week we will be back. Well, one of us will be back, and I will have a special guest, so tune in for that. But until that time, I'm Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.